A very warm welcome to all of you watching the show. This is Overdrive and you're with me, Sohini Dutt. This week we realized it had been a very long time since we embarked on an epic road trip, and after racking our brains about the various places we had already visited, it dawned on us that the place you tend to miss out on is the place closest to home. So we decided it was time to knock on the doors of a few of our neighbouring countries. So here's the first leg of the Overdrive Meet the Neighbours Drive Expedition. In man's search for mystic and exotic lands, he often overlooks his own neighborhood. Overdrive has been on many such expeditions across the world. It was time we ventured beyond our immediate boundaries by road. It was time we paid a visit to our neighbors, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar and Bangladesh. As wise travelers before us counseled, the world is so much more beautiful when viewed through the windscreen of a car. The windscreens in question for our expedition would belong to Nissan Terranos. At Overdrive, we usually like to travel alone, but we'd make an exception this time around for avid Overdrive enthusiasts. Of course, you can't simply pack your bags and hobble across international borders. So, for such a journey, we sought help from Asia Safari, a tourism firm headed by retired Indian Army officer Captain Rajkumar. Ideally, road trips commence at the crack of dawn. Our circumstances though demanded that we begin the trip toward our first border an hour before midnight with the intention of reaching the border by twilight. It was imperative that we sustained good pace throughout the night if we intended to reach the border by dawn. At first light, we managed to locate ourselves at Nanak Mata Lake in Uttarakhand, only a stone's throw away from the Indo-Nepal border. Now, it's relatively easy for us to enter into Nepal thanks to the historical friendly relations we share with the country. All we need is a Government of India stamped identification proof and we're all set.
At the border of Nepal and starting the journey from home, any traveller should remember to carry firstly the original document of his vehicle, which is imperative, followed by the insurance applicable. Third is his personal ID proof, and this is the requirement for crossing the Indian border to Nepal.
Paperwork is a necessary evil, and once we wrapped up with it and headed out, it seemed difficult to surmise that we were in another country. The topography, the demography, the road infrastructure, everything seemed identical to our northeastern states. We were now on what was pertinently called the Indo-Nepal Highway.
So the driving experience in Nepal, well, it's pretty similar to India in that the roads are some good, some bad as far as surface is concerned. Most of the roads are narrow dual carriageways. Most of the highways are the same as well.
Nepal attracts a lot of mountaineers from all across the world. But to get to the mountains, one has to travel through marshy grasslands, better known as the Terai region, and a number of forests before the great mountains surface. We've been on the road for 28 hours and we've covered about 1200 odd kilometers, and we're driving through this gorgeous Terai region of Nepal. We're about 270 odd kilometers away from Kathmandu, and we couldn't have picked a better day to visit Kathmandu because today is the auspicious day of both Purnima, which is Gautam Buddha's birthday, and devotees from all across Nepal are going to gather together to celebrate on this occasion. So we are heading to Swayambhunath temple to see what the celebrations are all about.
we are having for lunch today?
There is hardly any difference, between the Indian food or the Nepalese one. Simply, the Indian foods are more spicy. The food that we are having right now, in our language we call it rice, is bhat. This is black lentil, dal, chicken, fried potato, and this pickle, as we say, or chutney.
So cool. I think that sounds awesome.
With our stomachs full and our spirit of adventure rekindled, we hope to head uphill and join in the festivities for the auspicious day in the capital city. However, our enthusiasm was completely drowned by the innate adversary of road-going explorations, traffic. As they say, the last mile is excruciatingly the longest. In our case, it was 40 kilometers before we reached Kathmandu.
Well, against all hopes, it's been another long day for us. We expected to reach Kathmandu at 6 o'clock, but it's close to 9:15, and we've missed all the action at the Swayambhunath temple right here in Kathmandu. And we couldn't experience what Gautam Buddha's birthday is all about here in Kathmandu. But tomorrow is a bright day. We'll be visiting the Pashupatinath temple, and let's see what Kathmandu has to offer.
A good night's rest was all we needed as we gathered ourselves and headed into the city of Kathmandu, the largest urban agglomerate of Nepal. We decided to first visit a stupa, but not just any ordinary stupa, a towering structure dominating the skyline of Kathmandu. A pit stop on the ancient Tibetan-Nepal route where millions of pilgrims and merchants stopped, offered their prayers and seeked blessings.
We're at Bodhnath, which is home to one of the largest stupas in the world, the Bodhnath Stupa. Now, this became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1979. And as we know that yesterday we missed all the celebrations at Swayambhunath temple, but we're here today at Bodhnath Stupa making up for it. I do believe that yesterday all the monks were out here chanting and lighting up beautiful diyas. We missed all that action, but nonetheless we're here today, and you just have to be here to see how mesmerizing this place actually is.
Having marveled at the sense of serenity you experience at Bodhnath, it was time to make our way to a temple that has been a very popular pilgrim spot for devout Hindus all across the world.
Pashupatinath temple is the oldest Hindu temple built here in Kathmandu, and it is also the most significant Shiva temple in the world. On Mahashivratri, over 700,000 followers come here from India and Nepal to offer their prayers to Lord Shiva. Now I'm going to be doing the same in a couple of minutes, but unfortunately you will not be able to join me in there because photography of any kind is restricted. So it's 4:30 a.m. and even though we are set for a long journey today, we are really excited because in a couple of hours we're going to be catching the early morning sunrise, 9,000 feet above sea level, and we are also hoping to catch a glimpse of the snow-clad peaks.
4 hours after driving further uphill through beautiful winding roads, we reached our breathtaking breakfast stop at Daman.
Well, this by far is definitely the high point of our trip here in Nepal. It's not every day that you get to stand 9,000 feet above sea level and get to marvel at these gorgeous 8 peaks, okay, out of 14 that we can see over here. Right behind me is Annapurna, in front of me is Everest, but this is not the best time to visit over here because everything is very hazy. October, November would be the best time when you can view this entire range, all these ranges, without any obstruction.
We would have loved to stay a bit longer and enjoy some fresh mountain air, but it was time to head down to the town of Hetwada and onto the border.
So our journey ends here, the eastern side of the Nepalese border. This is Kakarvita, and as Indians, as long as you have your valid documentations and your ID proofs, everything is sorted. All you need to do is, if you're doing a road trip like us, you would have been given a green number plate. You have to return it to the RTO. So once you cross this checkpost, 1 kilometer ahead is Siliguri and you're back into India. So Ferry Bedula on the other side.
After the break, we head to a land that has remained a mystery to globetrotters for decades. Stay with us, you're watching Overdrive.